Hello and welcome to another Franchise Hockey Manager 5 stream. My name is Adam, I'm Community Manager of Franchise Hockey. With me as always and hosting tonight's stream is FHM producer Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Hey everybody.
And we are back to the future and changing everything that you might know about 1932 because why not? Jeff, what is going on? The New York Americans? Who in the world is that?
What we're going to do here, we're going to do a couple of things tonight. Show you the random debut mode for historical games, and probably in the second half of the show go into the tactics a little bit and sort of break down how everything works there. Since with random debut, you juggle the starting dates around for pretty much every player in hockey history, or at least the NHL portion of it. And so you can have anybody in any era, Wayne Gretzky in the 1920s, Jean Beliveau in 2000s, etc., etc. And these games always start with a initial draft, so we can choose our own team. And I just picked the 1930s for the heck of it. We haven't done anything in that, I don't think, on the stream before. And it's kind of an interesting era. It's getting towards modern hockey, but a few things are a little unusual. Just you can see the divisional setup. We are the New York Americans, but we are somehow in the Canadian division. Not sure how the logic there worked, but there we are. And I think to start this off, there's not really a whole lot to show you. I've installed a mod with some additional logos, and once we get the players, you'll see the lovely Americans uniforms in the red, white, and blue. And we might as well just kick it right off, Adam, and go straight into the initial draft, I guess.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, let me just double check if there's anything here I need to do. Sorry, we're a little slightly late getting on. Had a couple little technical difficulties getting going. I think this is all going to be okay. I'm just going to turn commissioner mode on in case we need it. And we'll do monthly saves. Actually, we'll do yearly saves until we get into the season. Everything else, I think, can stay as it is. And you can see we're in just some of the team data. We're playing out of the Madison Square Garden, which we're sharing with the Rangers.
Ratcast says, wow, really old school tonight. Was this Messier's rookie season?
Straight to the Messier stuff, yep. Okay. All right, initial draft. I haven't looked at this draft class at all, so I've got no idea what we got in here. We didn't get a very good pick. Number 8 overall. And it's a snake format draft, so we'll take 8th and 11th, but we've got the second to last pick in the first round. So, doesn't look like a really talented group. Here, Patrick Marleau, Theo Fleury, Dave Andrechuk, and a mixture, a few modern guys, a lot of older ones, and one thing you have to...
You can't hear us, but I can hear you on my stream, so I'm not sure what's going on for him. Retcast asks, is there any way to reduce injuries, or is it just on or off?
Other than being a little more careful about how you use your players, so they're not the fatigue isn't running down. Not really a lot you can do to reduce injuries. And okay, the other thing I was going to say here, I sorted by ability first off, so you can see who's in their prime. But remember, this is random debut, so you won't necessarily get guys at the peak of their career. And if I'm sorting by potential, you can see we've got a lot of guys, Keith, Bobrovsky, Red, Kelly, Ted Lindsay, that are only 19, 20, 21, 22, in that range. So they've got a lot of potential, so we, drafting where we are, we may have to look to build a little farther out, because we're not going to get somebody that great at number 8. So it's...
I like the idea of Tyler Myers with Duncan Keefe on a blue line. That's pretty good.
Well, let's see if either of them's even available at that point.
Theo, we have to draft Theo Fleury.
I bet you he goes second or third worst. So I'll just pick until human, and yeah, Fleury went number 2 overall to the Bruins. Patrick Marleau was number 1 to the Senators, who are going to be moving to St. Louis and then going out of business in a couple of seasons until they come back sometime another 60-odd years. And yeah, you see, yep, Myers and Keith both went, so that idea's out.
Now, Duncan Keith going to the Blackhawks is pretty funny.
Yeah. And, well, Dale Hunter on the Canadians.
Yeah, well, that's good. Good, too.
Okay, so what we've got is Real Cloutier, who's 25, but he started heading downhill not long after this, so I'm not, or at least after 25 in real life, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Punch Broadbent, big scorer from the 20s, I believe. He's kind of at his peak. Rick Tockett's in there, 3.5 star potential. Joey Mullins, Scott Gomez. Oh, Grant Fuhr, 19-year-old Grant Fuhr. That might be an option. And just sorting by potential. Let's see, Bobrovsky or Fuhr, I'm thinking. Although Ted Lindsay's in there too, 1.5 stars and a 5-star potential.
Yeah, but then he'll try and unionize, and we'll have to send him away. And
it's a little while before we have to worry about the union. I'm leaning towards Fuhr right now. Any preferences?
I think Fuhr's probably a solid pick if we want a goalie.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
he's
he's
19
19,
now.
so he's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, and he's already 2.5 stars. He's decent enough to play in goal this season, so I think I'm going to go with that. Grant Fuhr, and Otto signed a contract, so you see what that.
Although if he's still there, you better take Ted Lindsay or Red Kelly. Got to have some Red Wings.
Okay, so the Rangers take Bobrovsky and Robbie Fabry as the. That's one thing you for players that are currently active, you may get an age for them that's sometime in the future. So you may get McDavid playing, but he might be the 40-year-old version of Connor McDavid.
That'd be really interesting.
Okay, ability, pretty much what we were looking at before. I think we're going to go with Lindsay here. I mean, Charlie Conacher's there too. That's another good pick, but Lindsay's a little developed at least. We're going to have to start. We took a couple of high potential guys in the first 2 picks. I'm going to take Lindsay, but
Pele Lindbergh's available to draft.
Yeah, we already got a goalie though.
I know. I'm just more sad when I think about that for too long.
And it looks like other teams are kind of grabbing the top forward, so we better get somebody with. Oh wow, we've only got 2 3-star guys left in the draft. Henrik Samuelsson, 26, and Nieto at. Well, maybe we don't go for strictly ability at this point. And Kimmo Timonen, 2.5 stars, 3.5 star potential. Boy. Draft started to get thin in a hurry. Brian Hextall, I think that's Brian Hextall Sr. Can't tell for sure. We've got in the upcoming update, we're going to have the player pop-ups turned back on for the draft. Vladimir Krutov, no, not doing that. But I think we've got to go with another potential guy. I'm not seeing a lot of D left, so I think I'm going to go with Timonen. Just so we've got some depth back there.
I don't hate that move.
And we're back up again. Okay, Pat Price, pretty good, tough defenseman from the 70s and 80s. Oh, hey, wait a sec. Oh, that's why he's so cheap. Well, Chris Chelios is there. The problem is it's 39-year-old Chris Chelios.
Well, if we want a veteran on the blue line, I mean, he's still probably going to play for another 10 years, but...
And Brian Trotsch's down there too, but it's 32-year-old Brian Trotsch.
Now, Jeff, here's a question I have. I don't know what the answer is because I haven't played this far yet. Can players regenerate back in? Or is it once they, like, say you get a 40-year-old Connor McDavid in 1932, by the time you get to, like, say, 1995, could a 21-year-old Connor McDavid show up?
Nope. One appearance for everybody.
Okay.
And, wait, did I advance it? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I took Brian Hextall with that pick, assuming it's Hextall Senior, not Junior. And probably need another D here. Not looking too promising. Wow, Eric Goodbranson might be the best option.
Green Snowstorm says, I just want to say I'm really enjoying the game this year. Love the new interface. Goalie stats are much improved and realistic, and there's an update as well. Great job this year, guys.
Yep, still working on the goalie stuff. We managed to shave another, like, 0.15 goals off in the last test build, but there's still a problem the first few years where the scoring totals gradually inflate and eventually get back to normal, but I'm trying to work that out.
And Ratcast says, yeah, he's really enjoying Random Debut, but hates when he sees a guy who ends up being 38 years old.
Almost took Chelios there. I went with Goodbranson instead, but we're back to our pick. Should probably go for another forward here. I wonder if Chelios is still there after. We'll pick somebody else this time, but if Chelios is still there after this one, we'll grab him. I got Eddie Shack, but he's a little elderly.
Gotta love some of the names like Patrick Stefan, 21 years old.
Yeah, we got your buddy Burmistrov. He's actually the
Jeff,
best.
if you draft him, I'm leaving the stream.
Okay. I actually think I'm going to go for Valerie Kaminsky.
You can take Valerie Bure. I'm okay with that.
I'm going to go with the other Russian named Valerie Kaminsky. Nordiques.
All right.
And I think Avalanche for a year, wasn't he?
Kaminsky?
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound right.
Looks like Chelios just hung on until our pick, so I'm going to take him. He's 39. We'll get a couple of years out of him at least. Or 7 or 8, maybe.
All right. Okay, Colorado is correct. And the Rangers.
Oh, we got an underaged, he must be just about ready to turn 18, Daniel Alfredson. On the other hand, also Guy Carbonneau. Offense or defense, what do you think?
We don't have a lot of offense, so probably getting a young Daniel Alfredson is probably not a bad idea.
Yep.
Okay, Kaminsky played for Quebec, Colorado, New York, Dallas, New Jersey.
Let's see. You see another old defenseman, Marcel Pronovo, future real-life Hall of Famer, but he's 36 here. A lot of not that many 2-stars actually. Bob. Wait, I thought I saw Bob Gainey there. Where'd he go? Oh, 30-year-old Bob Gainey. Wow, he's.
Okay, you got to take Eddie Shack here. Come on.
Okay. He's a little elderly, but might be able to get a season or two out of him.
Gotta be Eddie Shack.
Let me check our roster here and just see what we got.
I kind of wonder how many times.
Well, we got no centers at all here. We kind of goofed. We're gonna have to pick up a couple.
We're not that bad. How many people play this game and have to check out who some of these people are?
Let's see. We got. Oh wait. Okay, that's good. I got to do this. We got Brian Hextall Jr. and Brian Hextall Sr.
Fantastic.
Except Hextall Jr. is 30 years old and Hextall Sr. is only 25.
Okay, just so it takes players all the way from NHL history,
yep.
And I'm assuming the WHA as well, correct?
There's a couple of glitches with the WHA at the moment, but yeah, for the most part.
Okay. So does that mean then at some point we could actually see in our draft a 52-year-old Gordie Howe?
Theoretically, yes.
Chances are pretty slim, probably, but that would be kind of hilarious and awesome to see old man Gordie show up for a year.
And let's see, we probably need another center here. Which Sutter's that? Oh, Brody Sutter. Okay. Not an actual Sutter. Well, or at least that the usual generation of Sutters. Oh, Carbonell's still available. He's only half a star and he's only 18, but at least some center depth down the road.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Or, I mean, we're only, at this point, we're only dressing, what, 17 guys?
16, I think.
16.
9, 15, or no, 17. 17, yeah.
So we're basically dressing 3 lines and...
So we've got 30-year-old Bob Gainey. I didn't think Gainey had gone downhill that fast. Give us a decent checking forward, at least.
Ratcast tells us in the chat, he took the random debut with the 67 Golden Seals to the finals, but was devastated by injuries and lost in 6. Good Creative says, is it drafting players who never played in the NHL as well?
There's a few of them mixed in there. I don't have that many yet. Gradually working on getting all the draft picks in.
So who is an example of somebody who's never played an NHL game?
A lot of guys from the 60, like the early drafts in 61, 62, and 63, where they were basically drafting guys out of midget and juvie and junior C leagues because they were the only ones that were unclaimed. That's just to pad out those drafts a bit. And then there's a few guys like Hall of Fame or well-known coaches who never quite made it to the NHL.
All right.
I'm trying to think of one offhand.
Any Russians?
I don't think I've got the Russians set up to be active right now. The ones who didn't make the NHL. I'm going to take another old defenseman, Marcel Pronovo.
Like
Harlamov and Mikhailov and the generally the Hall of Fame type guys.
Wait, did I just see Vinny LeCavalier?
He's 36.
Our backup goalie can be Gary Cheevers. I think that's got to be our backup goalie, Jeff.
I'm not seeing him where...
I saw him as you're flipping through there. If you filter to goalies, you might find him.
Or I could just sort alphabetically.
Well.
Cheever. Oh wow, that's Cheever's pretty much finished, and it looks like we both got we've got Don and Dick Cherry.
Excellent.
But they're going to be around for a while, so I'm going to take some more guys before we start picking them. I think I'm going to take LeCavalier.
Guru says. Tony Hand.
He might be in already now that I think about it. Can't remember for sure. I think I added him. And probably pick somebody with some potential here. Although the choices are getting kind of sad at this point. Got a bunch of old defensemen, so I'm going to take, I'm assuming that's... Oh no, that's Christian Wolanin, not Craig Wolanin. His son.
Ratcast asks in the chat, is it possible to play any of the Russian teams that toured the NHL in the 70s and 80s, like the one that left the ice in Philadelphia? And the answer right now is no.
Yeah, I would like to do that at some point, because the WHA actually played games against them that counted in the standings, and we leave those out right now. But I wouldn't mind finding a way to do that.
Guess what team was the first team to beat the Russians?
Gee, could it be the Winnipeg Jets, possibly? Would you
Jeff,
mention it if
stop
there was any other
spoiling
reason?
things. The Jets were the first team to beat them.
Okay,
which would have been a great trivia question if Jeff didn't ruin it.
All my fault.
Yes. Glad you admitted it.
Okay, going to take Bruce Crowder with that round, but we're running out of decent picks, and I want to get into tactics before we finish here, so I'm going to speed her up a little bit. Okay, I see Cheever's on the board in the top 10, so I will take him as our backup.
Yes.
He's probably going to retire in a season or two, though.
He may, but we'll have another goalie by then. Not to mention, we still got Fear.
And what have I got here? So we got 4 defensemen, 4 left wings, 3 centers, 3 right wings. Reasonably balanced. I need to probably pick up a couple of defensemen now. Not that there's a whole lot of decent ones remaining. Bart Crashley. Always loved that name. And go with him.
Crashley is a great name, but he should be a winger. Cutie says, I think we all would have guessed Winnipeg. I doubt it. I do know other facts about other teams.
We believe you.
So I was raised in a Red Wing household.
Actually gonna pick a Jet here as our 6th defenseman, Craig Levy. You remember him?
Craig Levy. It's a name I haven't heard for a long time.
Like 81, 82 around there. Pretty good offensive defenseman, not much defensively. And winding down here, David Booth's still hanging around. He's only 18, so I'll grab him.
Fourth Line Center says, how many picks do you get in this draft?
That's a good question. Must be running low. I think it's 30. I can't remember if it varies by year.
Well, scroll down.
Huh?
So scroll down on the picks and we can see how many are left.
That would be an idea, wouldn't it? We go up to 225 and we are at... Yeah, so we've got about 7 or 8 rounds left.
All right, so let's do math here. If it's 225, as Jeff says, divided by 8 teams, I believe it is the NHL's of the with the Montreal and the New York Americans, that would be about 28 rounds.
And I'm just speeding through these last few picks. Should probably take... I'm going to grab Ulf Sterner. He was a Swedish guy the Rangers brought in for, I think it was like 4 games in the 60s before giving up on him.
Sounds about right.
We should probably get a 3rd string goalie. Not that there is anybody half decent left.
Aaron Dell.
Yeah, I guess so. That's the only guy left above a 1 star.
He's young too, might turn into something. Or we could take Andre Paveluk. I just saw.
How old is he? Oh, he's 34 now. Should be a little better than that.
I don't know. I mean, he's retired now, so. There's 9 teams, so it's 25, Fourth Line says. All right, I miscounted.
Okay, we've got our very last pick. We are shy 1 right winger. So that's probably what it should be. Kendrati, Murray Balfour. Oh, there we go. Rick Bonus.
Ooh. Filled this team with studs, huh?
Oops. Should go back and finish that. Alrighty, so there is our roster. Kind of an interesting mix of guys in their late 30s and teenagers. Sort by ability does not look too promising, but I don't think anybody was... There's no regulation on this as to how good the players are that go into any given year. So you may start in a strong year, you may start in a weak year. And I think we've started in a weaker one, so it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. I'm going to cheat a little bit here and just have the AI set up the organization so I can get all the roles set to begin with, so I don't have to go in and do that manually for all of them. Yeah, 17 dressed. And quick look at the lines. You can see that's basically 3 5-man units, 3 forward lines, and 3 pairs of defensemen. So nice and even that way. We don't have to worry about the 4th line. Furin Cheevers in goal. Kamensky and the Hextalls are first line center and right wing, father and son. And LeCavalier gaining an Alfredson on the second line. Okay, yeah, the lines look reasonably sensible. But what we wanted to go in here, and yeah, we're about halfway through, just in time, is the tactics. So I'm on the tactics screen, and what I'm looking at now is the global setting. These two top settings up here, the offensive orientation and defensive physical orientation rather, that's an AI only setting. I think we're just going to wind up making those impossible to change because it seems to be confusing for people right now. That's just a general indicated guideline for the AI when it's coaching as to what type of tactics to use. But on the global setting, we're deciding what the team in general does, and then we can override that further by going down a little more specifically at different levels. We'll start out with the tactical tendencies at the bottom first. I don't know that we've got a bunch of offensive talent, so I'm not going to set that attacking to intense. Don't want to be too soft in this era, so we'll put aggressiveness in the middle. Back checking is fine. Pressure, we've got a lot of young guys who maybe tend to get out of position a little worse, so I'm going to set that down to mild so we're not really running around a lot. Same thing with hitting. I'm going to well, I'll put it in the middle. I won't put it all the way down to rare. Tempo is controlling the speed of play. Passing, no, it's the 30s. We're not going to be passing out much, and going to have them shooting a lot. I don't know if we've got a lot of great shooters, but maybe we can create some rebounds and get chances that way. Breakouts, let's keep it relatively simple. This is the 30s. We'll go up the boards. In the neutral zone, again, 30s, going to dump and chase. And the offensive zone will crash the net. Trying to keep it really simple for these guys. And defensively, the forecheck, we'll send one guy deep, so it's a 1-2-2. And if you want to see, we're going to get this probably into tooltips or some form like that eventually. But you can, if you look in the manual, there's a description of each of these tactics and a lot more detail on what they do. You don't really get that right now. Here, and zonal and defensive coverage, and the power play. Taking fairly moderate settings in all of these. I don't want to try anything crazy with this group of guys.
Fair enough.
Collapse the net is more of a modern defensive zone coverage for the penalty killing, but I think it'll work better for us. And hang on to the puck when we forget it while we're shorthanded. Now I've said all this at the global level. If I want to do things differently for individual lines, you can see if I select through the lines. Right now, the AI has set up specific tactics for all of them. If I just want these guys to use the global setting, click on that, and it's off for all of them. But I will, let's see, I think I'm going to turn it off for the first two lines. We want the third line to be more of a checking line. And so I'm going to turn the tactical settings off, but I am going to adjust the tendencies a bit more. So they're going to use the same tactical settings. Nothing I've got that's set right here will be different than what's on the global level, but we are not going to attack it all with them. Going to be a little more aggressive with the third line. Definitely going to back check a lot with that line and pressure with it. A lot of hitting too. Slow the tempo way down. You can see I'm clicking the use box beside all of these. And and we'll move the puck around when we do get control of it, and probably not shoot a whole lot. So yeah, that's our checking line there. There is a little bit of a bug if you're playing this now before the next update. When I turned the settings off for the even strength lines, it's actually going to affect. Actually, wait, all the 4-on-4 and 3-on-3 lines. We'll just use the general ones. When I turned it off for the even strength lines, it's also affecting the special teams at the moment, which for the purposes of this is fine because that's what I want to do right now. So I don't think I'm going to change anything too differently.
Okay, fourth line center in the chat says, in terms of tactics versus player roles, how do they influence each other? For example, if you have a player with a playmaker role but have them on the PK, will having the PK tactical setting focus on defensive play cause a player to play a more defensive game?
Well, the playmaker role is going to mean he's going to be passing a little more often. It'll really, both things are going to affect his play. Offensively, he is going to pass before he shoots, but if you've got him on a penalty killing line, and you've got the penalty killing line, presumably set up to be more defensive oriented, he'll also tend to play more defensively. So fewer offensive opportunities, but when he does, he's going to pass the puck more. Both of them are going to have a role in it. And now you can see I've gone onto the player screen, and if I want to override any individual tactical tendencies, the AI has done it in a few cases here. You can see the AI has really customized this all the way down. It's got, say, Chelios playing really defensively. I'm guessing it's going to do something similar for a guy like Gainey. Yeah. Not attacking at all, back checking a lot. I think I'm going to leave the AI settings alone here. But let's say I wanted to, I've got Lindsay on that checking line, if I remember right. We're going to have him be the one guy who's going to try and get a little offense here, so I'm going to set up attacking to intense for him, higher tempo, and back off the passing, but have him shooting more. So the other two guys on that unit, which was Shaq and Barry, will be playing defensively, or at least, yeah, I didn't. No, that's right. I did turn that on for them. But Lindsay is going to go by his own instructions and do what you've told him to do here, at least as far as tactical tendencies go.
So Guda says, just to clarify what you talked about earlier, if you check the use settings on all these lines in unit tab, the globe settings are void.
Like I've done here for the, oh, didn't do it. Forgot to do it here. Good thing I went back and checked. Yeah, since I've turned it on here, everything you see in this section is going to override. Oh, that's right. I'd only changed tactical tendencies. I hadn't changed the unit settings. Everything I've done here, I'm changing, say, the third line's breakout pattern to positional. It was the long boards before. It's going to use that. And I've also got, I happen to have all the tactical tendencies overrides turned on, so it's going to completely ignore whatever is at the global level. But then you can see on the second line, if I've turned that off, anything that's in here isn't going to matter. It's going to revert to, whoops, anything there, it's going to revert to what the global settings are. So all that said, quick look at the depth chart. Definitely need some help at center, but we're probably going to have to wait for the draft to do that. And I think we're ready to play a few games.
Well, excellent.
Probably just sim through the preseason, I guess. And we should be right up at that. Oops. Got news, training camp development report. Yeah, Alfredson. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 improvement points. So that's a pretty good camp for him, I'd say. And we got to pick some captains here. Thinking the leadership choices are pretty obvious. Chelios and Gainey. Gainey's going to be around a little while longer, so I'm going to make him the captain. And Brian Hextall, that's Hextall Sr., who is somehow younger in this game than Junior. Or LeCavalier, Lindsay is still pretty young, so we don't want to make him. Bob Berry, who's went on to coach, so decent leadership there, but he's only the third line winger. Yeah, I think I'm going to give the other A to Hextall Sr. And let me just see what settings I left on here. Do have stoppages turned on. I'm just going to play a little bit of this one, so you can see if I wanted to during the course of the game, if I wanted to go in at some point and change my tactics. I've got basically the same type of setup. Looks slightly different, but it's the same global units and player. And if I happen to want to juggle my lineup around or change the tactics up a little bit at any point in the game, I can do that there. Do that from that screen. But I will take some of these stoppage options off. And switch that to goals only, and we'll just watch our first exhibition game here and see how we do. And we're getting outshot 9-1 so far, so the answer is not very good.
Ratcast says, make Eddie Shack the captain. It would be great PR.
Still remember him from the Pop Shop ads in the 80s. Wow, outshot 15-2 in the first period. This may be a long season. Thinking the other teams paid a little less attention to potential. And somebody named Todd scored. I'm guessing that's maybe Kevin Todd. Looks like Eddie Lack is in goal for the Senators. So at least Fuhr is keeping us in the game, but we really need some offense here. In which case, I am going to
So, question from Gudu, just continuing the tactics.
Yep.
How are the player-specific tendencies affected when using global or unit settings?
Well, the player tendencies are... Let me go back to that screen. The player tendencies that only overrides things. If the player tendencies aren't set, it just goes back to whatever the global setting is. And in this case, you can see I just turned it up to intense attacking and high tempo, trying to get a goal, which appears to have worked. So all the players are following these settings now, except the ones that, like Chelios, that have the use settings, the overrides turned on there. Basically, everything just overrides from the bottom up. So if you set something at player, it's going to override the unit settings. If you set something at units, it's going to override the global settings.
All right.
And we tied that up. Looks like we finally got some offense going, so I'm just going to leave it there. And Daniel Alfredson makes it 2-1 for... Oh, no. That was the tying goal. And it looks like we finally woke up in the third period there. Let's see if Fuhr can hang in there. And is that Zach Hamill, I guess? Or possibly Brad Hamill. And we wind up losing that one 2-1, but only an exhibition game. Red Hamlet was. So, just looking at the player summary at how we did. Not really any particularly bad game ratings. Goodbranson didn't have much in the way of offense, but I think everybody played reasonably well. But Ottawa just played better. So I'm going to sim through a few of these. Get us to the end of the exhibition season at least, for the end of this show, and maybe get a few regular season games in. Maybe try to get Fuhr warmed up a little bit, and it's a 3-1 win for us over the Leafs.
Excellent. Jamie McLennan.
Well, they just beat us 3-1. And Alfredson developed a little bit more. Is he even...
Okay, so
No, he didn't
the
make our
chat has
second
been
one.
making the assumptions here. Just so basically the chain is global unit player in terms of tactics.
Yeah, unless, I mean, if there's an override set at the bottom, then that overrides anything up higher.
Okay.
And another loss. Exhibition loss. At least some of our guys are improving at their new positions. I was looking at the farm team, and Alfredson isn't quite ready yet. Still at only half a star. Oh, come on. We got beat 5-3 by the Leafs. They had Ron Scott, Rangers reject from the 80s in goal. And is that the end of the exhibition season? No, we got one more against the Bruins. I should mention too, I'll do it in a second. And a 6-1 loss to Boston to finish the exhibition season off. Mention here on the, also on the tactics interface on the player screen, you can change the player role as well. And if I, whoops, didn't mean to right click on that. Click on Pronovo and you can see that opens up the pop-up and it tells me how well he's rated at each type of position, and appropriately enough for him, the elderly old school defenseman has the highest rating at old school defenseman. I'm guessing Gainey is probably, yeah, Shadow. He's should probably check these just to make sure I've got somebody in vaguely offensive roles, even though none of them are going to be all that qualified for it. Oh, Alfredson is on there. I was wrong.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. What were we going to say?
I was just saying, Gudu brought this, or not Gudu, sorry, Ratcats brought this up on our official forums, which you can find at otpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner. Anyways, he brought up, he said he has a tough time seeing the final score after, simming through a game and wants
Yeah, I know.
I'll
I'll show you that in a second. And just looking at our exhibition stats now, but I know what you mean. That's our home opener there. I'm gonna sim quickly through it and see how badly we lose. But yeah, this screen right here, right, Rakas? That's the one you're looking at. It's up here, but I think we can do a better job. Like, even just put this in, put a big 2 and a 1 here under the head-to-head, or at least where the head-to-head record is now. I don't think we really need the head-to-head result, previous head-to-head results being shown at the end of the game.
He says, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think maybe just like change head-to-head to game score, and then just subdivide it like that, where I'm doing with the mouse, and draw, the Chicago in this case would be 2 and us 1, and that'd make it a lot easier to see. Because really, who the heck cares about the head-to-head record after you played the game? I'll put that in tonight's wish list. I don't know if it's going to get into the next update, but hopefully it'll.
We are listening and watching her at the forums.
Okay, Red Wings at Americans. And we get our first one of the season, 2-1. 40 saves from Fuhr, and old Vinny Lecavalier gets 2 points. Oh, and apparently Timonen was injured. I didn't see that. It's just a minor injury, so he's not too bad. And another 2-1 loss. I think it was a fairly low-scoring season, so we're probably not going to see a ton of offense this year.
Bradcast doesn't like your idea because he likes the head-to-head.
I mean, we'll still have the head-to-head there at the pre-game screen, but I didn't really know that there's much of a purpose to it in the post-game one. And it's a good place to put that. And Bob Gainey screwed up his back, so we're going to have to call somebody up to replace him from New Haven of the, I think it was the, can't remember if it's actually the American League at this point, might be the, oh no, it's the Can-Am League. So the forerunner to the American Hockey League. And who do I want to replace Gainey? Probably going to try Bruce Crowder. I think he's got the highest potential of anybody. Actually, no, we're going to go with Carbonneau. Need a checking guy. Call him up to the Americans. Swap him directly for Carbonneau. Carbonneau's going to get a little experience playing on the wing, and we've got a storyline thing here. Dressing room shenanigans in Montreal. So Lee Sorokin and Yaroslav Spacek apparently did something and got into trouble for it, and now they're not happy.
Due to creative, I believe that is a bug you're talking about that is being fixed. In chat.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to have to double check on that, but I think that's one of the things we've been looking at. More good development, but Shaq, Pronovo, Cavalier, and Barry all slowing down. And Ottawa beats us 4-1, and we have started 1-5-0.
Sounds like our typical stream starts.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes, isn't it? Run up to the next month to see, and got a few messages here. Carbonneau's getting better at left wing, but Gainey's going to be back soon. Gainey is back. And Carbonneau can go back to minors. Let's have a look at the... Oh, looks like we got a shutout win against Boston, so at least a few points on the board. And we haven't played Cheevers at all yet. Should probably rotate him in soon. But yeah, look at that. I mean, there's not much scoring at all. Kamensky 5 points, Hextall 5 points in 8 games. We need to find
Four-time
some
center asks the question. In FHM4, if you change the team's overall tactics too much and make players unhappy, is that the same in FHM5, or can you change tactics more often?
It's right now you can get away with changing them as much as you want, but we are going to be adding some stuff in there to have them to. So there's a few penalties in if you start overdoing it with the tactical changes, in particularly player role changes. And Gainey got himself hurt again, and one of the Hex dolls is out too. Gonna have to take a different player up this time. We'll put Bruce Crowder up to the Americans. Swap Gainey in for him. Don't know why Gainey's getting hurt that much. He's not that injury prone. Wow, 7-1 blown out by the Leafs. 3-10-1 start. Ouch, dead last in the league. I will check one thing here. Oh no, I won't be able to see the draft until the next season. But I think we're headed for a #1 overall pick here. And now who's injured? It's Craig Levy. How long's he got? 1 or 2 weeks. And we literally only have one replacement defenseman. I should probably fix that. Free agent center, and pretty slim pickings, but I'll pick up 3 or 4 guys, I think, just so we can add some depth here. Although it's a little hard to find a defenseman.
Time to convert.
Chris Evans, former Kansas City scout. Grab him. At least one more defenseman, I think. Les Hunt, I don't know who that is. That's probably not a good sign. Oh, Dwight Schofield, Skonan the Barbarian. Legendary former Canadian. And let's see, Jason Magna. Might as well take a whole forward line from the free agents. Murray Balfour, pretty good hawk in the 60s. And Val Fontaine, decent checking forward. So yeah, that should give us a little more depth. Oops. Did I put all those guys in the active roster? Yes, I did. Need to send them down. Gonna leave Hextall in, even though he's slightly hurt. Oh. I should have checked the manager options before we got going there. I need to set the scouting over to assistant. Not really that much scouting to do in this historical game. And I will leave everything else on, but that also means I should go over to the training screen, and you can see the training screen is now part of the team drop-down. And looks like I got a question for you in chat, Adam.
Adam, is your logo pack up in stream? Yes, it is. P-Wall put it up. So you can get the historic logo pack, which will take everything from 1970 forward. I'm slowly putting together before that, but it's a lot of work. And tracking down logos and finding the right teams and all that fun stuff.
Well, it's looking pretty good so far from what I've seen.
Well, if you add it on, it'll add 335 so far.
Nice. Okay, I think that's training. And what? Oh, we're running a little low on time here, so we'll get a couple more games in. Be nice to get some wins to close this up, but losing 3-1 in Montreal there. And a 4-2 loss in Detroit. I mean, the only thing really keeping us going at this point is fear, I think. Oh, fantastic, and now Cheevers got hurt. Played one game and managed to get hurt in it. Fantastic.
Told you he was on the bench for moral support.
Oh, there's what happened. He fell off a ladder.
Okay, Ratcast just asked the chat, how do you subscribe to get... So you need to subscribe to download them. Once you have them in the game, click on the Steamworks button on the main screen.
Yeah, it looks
and then if you have multiple ones you've downloaded, you need to see which title it is. So, for instance, the Historical Minor League Pack. If it's not that one, click the Show button. It'll pop up on Steam. You can close that. But once you hit that, there's a button, or sorry, a sentence that's all in light blue that says this item has been downloaded. Click here to install it. Click that, and it will install it.
And got the player poll coming up at the end of the year, or end of 1932 at least. And Kimmo Timonen is one of our guys actually made the list, hardest shot. So that's pretty much the only good news we've had so far this season.
Well, we shouldn't get fired, hopefully.
You may not have wanted to say that. There's another 3-2 loss to the Bruins. How many have we lost? 3-13-1 and... Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. Haven't had a win in 8 games. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up here, and we've also got 4 guys injured now too. But we may need to move some of our future potential for players who can do something, anything now when we get back to this in a couple of weeks. But I think we'll finish it up here, Adam, if you want to sign out.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning into another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. We typically stream every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. All of our streams are archived on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OOTP Developments. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Franchise Hockey Manager. On Twitter, we're at Franchise Hockey. Included in that, you can find a link to our official Discord in our Twitter profile. You can also head on down to our official website, which we mentioned earlier on the stream, but again, it's ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner where you can come talk about FHM5. Look at the mods, talk about Out of the Park Baseball, MLB Manager, or just about anything else you want. Jeff, did I miss anything?
Nope, but naturally, as we were complaining about the injuries, Kimmo Timonen went out with an injury, but it's only nausea. Apparently he's got a tummy ache, so he's going to miss a game. And that's our best defenseman. I will just quickly play this one last game. Oh, whoops, we got too many players on the roster. Oh, I'm going to have to put somebody on injured reserve. Great, great, great. Yeah, it's going to be Cheevers. Play this one last game against Boston, and we won in overtime.
Huzzah.
Miracles never cease. Who got it for us? Valerie Kamansky. And this is old school NHL overtime, so it's 10 minutes instead of 5, and he got it at 5:33 the overtime period. So now we were 2 points closer to being second to last, and we're only about 10 points behind that. So hopefully we'll do a little bit better when we come back to this in a couple of weeks. Next week, I guess we'll be back to your game, Adam.
Yes.
If we're still sticking with that.
Absolutely. We are going to try and win the Stanley Cup with the Quebec Nordiques.
An expansion team.
Yes, expansion team. And we're hovering around 500, Jeff. We're not doing that bad. We're not doing great, but we're not doing bad.
No, Vegas could do it, or almost do it. Why can't we? Okay, thanks for coming out, everybody, and we will see you all next week.